We're glad to be sharing the ministry of Redemption Church with you. Now join us as we receive the Word of God.
Somebody say howdy. Howdy. Howdy everybody that's in the room, and howdy everyone online. If you don't know what howdy means, that's a warm Texas greeting, and we're so glad that you are tuning in with us online. We love every single one of you. We have been talking about your calling, your career, and your cause. We've been looking at a case study like no other, a case study of 120 people with no degrees, no capital backing, no government grants, and yet this organization grew to over 2 billion people. This organization is the Church of Jesus Christ. In week one, we talked about how to become a leader, and we told you leadership is one word. What's the one word? Influence. It's good that y'all knew that, because had you not, I have week one's notes. We just go right back to it. Leadership is influence. A lot of times we make leadership way too complicated. Leadership is influencing others. In week two, we told you how to step up and to step out. How can you always be able to have the right thing to say and to just stand up and speak it? And we gave you a way to do that. And the simple way to say it is this: always be on message. And your message is mission, vision, and values. Let's review real quick. Mission is what you're trying to accomplish. Somebody say what? What? And vision is how you're going to accomplish the mission. Somebody say how. How. And values are the behaviors that are rewarded in your organization. Somebody say behavior. All right. Today we're going to be talking about your promotion playbook. Can you say that with me? Your promotion playbook. The problem that we can all relate to, I think, is this. Y'all let me know if there's something you can relate to. You work hard, but you're looked past. You're passed over, and other people seem to always get ahead. You are taken for granted. You are not in the position you want. Your sights are much higher than where you are. You want more. Can anybody relate to that? Has anybody ever been in that position? Maybe you're in that position now. Maybe you feel like you're in a constant state of that position. I'm right here, but this is not where I would be. You might have done a 5-year plan, and you're like, good Lord, you did that 5-year plan 5 years ago, and you're like, did it even start? I'm nowhere near fulfilling where I want to be at this point in life. There's another side of this coin, however. Maybe you relate to this part of it. At the same time, how do I not fall into the rat race of business? How do I avoid the office politics and all the backstabbing? How do I get ahead without becoming a creep? Because we've all worked with creeps. Isn't that right? Some of y'all are too nice in here. Me and Regina, we're the only real ones here. You a real one, Regina. Everybody, we've all worked with creeps. And if you're like, I haven't, I've got bad news. You are the creep. It's you. It's you. I hated to tell you, but there it is right there. We might even ask this question. We ask it, can a Christian even make it in business? I have felt those thoughts. I've thought those things before. There are times where the Christian faith can seem like a disadvantage. How? Well, moral limitations that other people don't seem to have, like honesty, kindness, not cussing people out, not fitting in with the happy hour business crew, and you just don't fit in there because the things they talk about, you do not feel comfortable talking about them because you've given your life to Jesus and you don't tell those kind of jokes, and there's things that are taking place there that are not right, and there are immoral things that are somehow celebrated in closed groups, and you cannot be a part of that and serve Christ. And you're like, how do I break in? If I don't break in with these people, how will I break in to my career? Guess what? This also happens in school. Your Christian faith can actually seem like a disadvantage in school. All the cool kids act a certain way, and you were told on Sunday school not to act that way, and you're like, how can I ever fit in with the cool crowd? And so you end up with this paradigm in your head. You're thinking this. You think the real successful people do fill in the blank, and I can't do fill in the blank because I am a Christian. Well, in business, they have a saying, and it goes a little bit like this. There's some variations to it, but here's how we're going to address it today. It's always be selling. Somebody say, always be selling. The other way it's said is always be closing. You may have heard that, and they refer to it as ABC. You're always closing a deal. When you meet somebody, you're closing a deal. When you talk to somebody, it's all about getting them to finally sign on the dotted line. And so every bit of your conversation with them, you are meeting them for the express purpose of getting money for them in exchange for a service. It means that you're always acting towards your own gain. Trying to close the deal, make the sale. Always be selling. It means that you're willing to sell yourself in order to make the sell. That you value the sale more than your authenticity, your values and character, helping the client. All of that comes after the holy grail of making the sale. I imagine a used car salesman when I'm saying all of this. And if you're a used car salesman, I would apologize, but no, I'm just going to pray for you. Slaps car, says, look at this beauty. Only 10,000 miles, because they've like reversed it, right? Right. Imagine a used car salesman who is only talking to you to make the sale. You ever walk on one of those lots? Like, hey folks, how are we doing today? And they're like all up and happy and blah, 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 until they find out you are not interested in buying today. And they're like, I'm wasting my time. Like, this is what's going on. Every compliment they give you, oh, those are really nice shoes, sir. They didn't really care about your shoes. If it wasn't your shoes they were complimenting, they were going to compliment something. They're taught in a back room to do these things to get you like, oh, this person really likes me, right? And willing to lie in order to make the sale. I've got a picture of what I picture this. There's Pinocchio on the screen for everybody who can't see it. And Pinocchio says, maybe a used car salesman isn't the best job for me, because he's got his, does anyone need that explained? It's because he's lying, and you can tell that he is lying. How do we make the sell without selling out? How do we climb the ladder without stepping on others? The answer, according to Jesus, is this: always be serving. Somebody say that with me. Always be serving. So we handed out what always be selling is like. It's icky, like a used car salesman is icky, but always be serving is just like Jesus. Christ is upside down. Christ is countercultural. He was when he walked the earth 2,000 years ago, and he still is today. He's absolutely the backwards, counterculture, upside down king that the world really needs. And if you read books today about leadership and sales advice today, actually they've all done a 180, and they all line up with a Jewish carpenter who lived 2,000 years ago. You'll read those books. You'll be surprised. Let's look a little bit at the words and actions of Jesus. Mark chapter 9, verse 33. They came to Capernaum. when he was in the house, he asked them, "What were you arguing about on the road?" Explanation. Jesus was walking with his disciples on the road, and his disciples were arguing, and he asked, "What were you arguing about?" Verse 34, they kept quiet because on the way they had argued about who was the greatest. Jesus like, "What were you arguing about?" And they were quiet. It's a pattern that happens all throughout the Bible, by the way. God asks a question and nobody answers it because we're all in the wrong instead of confessing. It's a pattern. So they were arguing about what? Who's the greatest? They are arguing about promotion here. They are arguing from a rat race mentality. And these are not just any ordinary people. These are the hand-selected 12 disciples of Jesus. These are the ones he trusted to do ministry. These are the ones he sent into all the world. These are the very ones. And they're arguing while they're in the very presence of Jesus. They're like, "Well, you know, I'm the better one because did you see me? I healed 2 lepers." And they're like, "Oh yeah? You should have seen me. I was handing out bread all to the feeding of the 5,000. I think I fed 2,000 of the 5,000. I was really working over there." And they're arguing like this. And Peter's like, "Well, you know, I did walk on water." And they're like, "For only a second, Peter, and then you fell right through." And they're having all these arguments over who is greater. So what happens? Verse 35, sitting down, Jesus lets it wait a little bit. You know, Jesus will let you wait a little bit. Sitting down, Jesus called the 12 and said, "Anyone who wants to be first must be the very last and the servant of all." What a thing Jesus says here. They're arguing about who is the greatest. And he's like, "Do you really realize what it means to be the greatest in my kingdom?" Being the greatest means that you're the least. Being the greatest means that you're a servant. Jesus is upside down. The way up in God's kingdom is down. The way to promotion is to put on an apron and serve. And this is the picture we have of our Jesus as we read in the Gospels time and time again. The servant is greatest. The servant puts others first, lifts others up, becomes the servant. The King of Kings became a servant for us, and that's the pattern of promotion that he would have us learn. And this is what all of the leadership and management and sales books have grabbed onto. They've all moved away from always be closing and always be selling, and they've turned towards a service model. But Jesus beat you to it 2,000 years ago. So Jesus demonstrates this. This next verse happens right after our reading. This is verse 36. It goes on. It says this: "He took a little child whom he placed among them. Taking the child in his arms, he said to them, 'Whoever welcomes one of these little children in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me does not welcome me, but the one who sent me.'" So Jesus demonstrates this time and time again. He said, "My kingdom is about serving those who can't help me." That little child was not wealthy. That little child had no strength. That little child did not own land. That little child could not give an offering. And he says, "I love this little child. I'll serve this little child. This child is to be welcomed. And if you're going to welcome me, you must first welcome this little child." What is he saying? To be great means to serve. Always be serving. That's what Jesus taught us. Now, here's what you might be thinking. Yeah, but I don't want to be the servant. I want to be the manager. I want to be the boss. I want to I want to be the one that's over Dunder Mifflin. That's who I want to be. That's what you're thinking. And you would say these words maybe, yeah, that service thing, yeah, maybe that works in religion, but that doesn't work where I'm living. That doesn't work on Wall Street. That does not work in the real world. You might say, that doesn't work in my line of work. You might say, but you don't know my boss, but you don't know where I work. You don't know my coworkers. You don't become one of the cool kids by being nice. You don't get the corner office by being sweet. You get the corner office by being ruthless and beating everyone else in cells. I want to teach you tonight that you become valuable by adding value. Can you say that sentence? Become valuable by adding value. Get this straight from John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. If you haven't noticed, every week I've given you one of his laws. This is a great one. It is the law of addition. The law of addition. Great leaders learn how to add. Not add just to their profit margins and the money in the bank, but also to add to the people around them. To be an addition to others. And it requires this. It requires that you value others. That's number one. Somebody say value others. You've got to value others. Because if you don't value people, you will never invest in people. But when you will see the true value of people, you will invest with them. What does investment look like? Sometimes it looks like, let's sit down and let's talk. Let's ask questions. Let me help you sort out your issues. Let me give you some advice. Let me give you a book. Let me help you and pray with you and see you take the next step. And if you are going to be a great leader, you have got to value other people. It starts with valuing others. Does Jesus value others? Yes. And then the other side of this is once you value people, you can do this. Make yourself valuable to others. When you are offering your time, when you're offering your skill, when you're offering your wisdom, it is adding your value to others. That is a leadership step right there. Value others, make yourself valuable to others, and then know, number three, know and relate to what others value. This is the one where a lot of leaders miss the ticket because we don't listen enough to know what others value. We don't have enough conversations with people about things that are not business related. Do you know that most of if you're a manager, if you're working for a company, if you own a company, if you are over other people, let me tell you, this might be a newsflash to you, but your people don't go home and just think about you and the job. They've got children at home. They've got a dog at home. They've got Netflix at home. They're going and they're wanting to do these things. These are interests. And it's a day job that takes 8 hours and then they go home. And boss, if you really want to practice the law of addition and be a good leader, then you have to listen and learn what other people are doing in their life. Let me give you a suggestion. Here it is. You ask. Here it is. That's pretty simple, right? You ask, hey, what are you interested in? Hey, weekend's coming up. Any interesting plans? What have you got going on? And you aren't just filling the time. You aren't letting what they say go in one ear, out the other. You're taking note. I'm spending time with family. Oh, that's great. Spending time with family. That means family motivates this person. You want to motivate this person? Don't give them a gift certificate to the local dive bar next door. No, give them a gift certificate to a place they can take their family. You see how that works? But you like that dive bar. All right, they don't. Okay? Go listen to people and have the value relate to what other people value. Do you know what your coworkers value? Do you know what your boss values? Some of you are like, well, I'm not the boss, so this doesn't apply to me. Wrong. This is how you build additional value by knowing what your boss is interested in. Anybody can have these conversations. In fact, Here's the conversation. I will just be totally open and honest with you here. When I meet a person at Redemption Church, one of the number one things I ask is, hey, I want to know about your story. I want to know about your life. What is it that you're really interested in? I'm trying to figure out their motives. I'm trying to figure out who they are. Not so I can figure out how to manipulate them, so I can add value to them. Oh my goodness, so you've got a family. You know what? We've got a family series coming up in September. Maybe you should be a part of that. I think it will add value to your life. You know what? My kids, I love to hang out with family too. We just went and saw a movie yesterday. We saw Despicable Me 4, very spiritual film, with some friends from the church. Maybe next time you could come with us, right? And so what am I doing there? I'm not trying to manipulate people. No, that's adding value. Because you care about your kids. If I care about you, now I care about your kids. See how this works? Value others. Make yourself valuable to others. Know and relate to what others value. And then last, here it is, do what God values. You really want to see addition in your life and promotion in your life? Do what God values. Last week we talked about the behaviors, those value systems, and I told you this very specifically. I said that you should reward what you want repeated. And then I told you this, God will reward what he wants repeated in your life. And if you want to walk in blessing, start doing the valuable things that God values. Do those actions. What are those things that God values? Everything that Jesus is. Get a picture of Jesus and start living that way. Forgiving other people, kneeling down to wash feet, being humble, feeding others, putting yourself not first but last for others, praying for others, having wisdom, going out of your way to serve others. That's Jesus. God values that. Add value and you'll become valuable. I want to tell you to value everyone, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit here. I'm going to add a little bit to this. But place 80% of your effort on your top 20%. Now, I expect to lose all of you right here. So be lost for one moment and then come back. All right, good. We're back. Some of y'all were still thinking about the Pinocchio comic, trying to figure it out. I'll explain it to you later over coffee. Listen, what is this 80% and 20% about? I want to tell you that this is a key understanding for promotion. The word for it is the Pareto principle. Somebody say Pareto principle. It's also called the 80-20 rule. 20% of your efforts yield 80% of the results is the way people think about this. 20% of the effort nets 80% of the results. And that's whatever it is. Let's think of some things it could be, right? I want to fix up my front yard, right? 20% of the work on that will yield 80% of the results. If I will do the top 20%, I will have an 80% better looking yard. I have to figure out what that is, right? It could be a simple weed eating and a lawn mowing. It might not be that I replant every plant in my garden. Do you understand that? This is one way. Also, let's say we're writing a book, or writing, not a book, a paper for school, right? 20% of that work will immediately get you a B. The 20% that she told you to cover or he told you to cover, go do that and that will get you a solid B. Do that first. Get the B and then turn it into the A, all right? You spend 20% and it gets you 80% of the results. That means this, prioritize your top 20% with your effort. If you only have 100% of your effort, make sure that you're using the majority of your effort on your top 20%. That means you have to prioritize what works for you and who works for you. What works and who works. Also, invest in your top 20%. Let's take it to people. Let's say you lead a group of 10 people. You manage 10 people. 20% of the people, according to the Pareto principle, will yield 80% of your sales, 80% of your results. So here's what most people do. They go, well, these people are really good. Let's invest all on our time on the bottom producers. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Y'all do? Y'all don't? That's a lot of people. They'll spend all their time on what isn't working. And they'll put effort into what is working. Meanwhile, the people that are working are floundering, or they've already got their resumes in for another job. Because it's like they take me for granted and they don't invest in me. Find your top 20% in whatever it is. It could be the time you spend. It could be the people you work with. It could be those relationships. It could be hours in a day. Take the top 20% and invest in it. Put the lion's share of your effort in your top 20%. Also do this, equip your top 20%. Put the best equipment in your top 20%. What am I saying here? That you should value everyone, but it does not necessarily mean you would value everyone equally, because everyone is not producing at the same level. And some of you are like, how can you say that? And I'm saying, I can say that because it's numbers on a page. I can say that because it comes back as results, right? And you want to put your life into what is bringing results. Put the majority of your effort into what is bringing results, and that includes even the people around you. What does it look like when the boss realizes you're in the top 20%? Some of you are like, I can't believe Chris is talking this way. Well, let me tell you, this is how your boss is thinking. He's looking around saying, who can I actually depend on? Who's actually getting the job done? Who is not bringing me all the problems? That's what your boss is thinking. And you want to be the one he thinks of. You want to be in that top 20%. And you want to work for a good boss who knows the Pareto principle. You should have invited your boss to this service today. I would have told him about it. And then you promote your top 20%. Because your boss, when he realizes 80% is getting done by people like you, you're on the list to get promoted. Who wants that? 2 people want that. All right. As an employer, be on the lookout for your top 20%. As a person that wants to achieve in life, be on the lookout for the top 20%. There are things that you spend a lot of time and energy doing that don't net you very many results. Lower those on the priority list. Raise up what gets the most results in your priority list. As an employee, listen, I'm talking to the one for a moment. You do 80% of the results, right? You do the 80% of the work, and you're like, oh, I hate my job because I do 80% of the work. Don't complain about doing 80% of the work. Prioritize being in the valuable top 20%. It is so good that you're overachieving on the job. That is a good thing. It has not gone unnoticed. Unless your boss is a complete nimnal, it has not gone unnoticed. I promise you. And you're like, my boss. We'll pray about him later, okay? We'll pray about them later. And then you think this, yeah, but I am working hard. I've been working hard for a long time. I've been producing a lot and still no promotion. So let's talk about a promotion playbook. Let's get right to it. We talk about Pareto principle. Man, that's one of my favorite things to think about. I would challenge you to go home and think about your top 20% in a lot of different areas. Let's talk about the promotion playbook. Number 1 is this: be a model employee. You want a promotion, right? If you want a promotion, please do not be a terrible employee. Child of God, please be a great employee. What does that mean? Be on time. Somebody say it from the back with me. Be on time. Wow. I'm telling you, it's hard to promote somebody who doesn't show up on time. Really hard. Don't be messy. Be neat in your physical appearance. Be neat in how you keep your workspace. Be neat, right? Don't have your car looking like you're living in your car. If you're living in your car, come talk to us. We'll help you. But there's some people, they pull up in their car and it's like things fall out. Half a eaten Wendy's meal from a month ago falls out of their car. Don't do that. Be neat. Don't be messy. And be a problem solver, not a problem causer. We preached a series earlier this year called Problem Solver. But I'm telling you this, your boss is looking for problem solvers, not drama makers, not gossipers, not constant complainers. Well, there's this problem. Go solve it, boss. Why should he ever promote that person? I tell you, the person he will promote is the person that says, hey, boss, I saw this problem. I fixed it. Let me know what you think. And your boss just goes, there was a problem and it's already solved. I just did something on my to-do list that wasn't on my to-do list. I didn't even know I needed to solve a problem. It's already solved because I hired the right person. And that's how your boss is thinking about these things. Be a model employee. Number 2, communicate your desire to add value. Actually say it out loud to the person that could promote you. Say it out loud to the person directly above you. Here's how one way this looks, okay? You're done with your project early. Let's say you have a project and it's due at the end of the week and it's Thursday and you're done. You do not say, well, I'm going to act like I'm busy the rest of the week. Don't do that. It's a George Costanza move. Don't not do that. That's a Seinfeld reference that no one got. If you're done with your project early, instead of acting like I'm still working really hard and you're like playing Candy Crush on your phone or something, instead of that, call your boss up and say these words. Hey, finished with my project. You're free to look at it now. Is there anything I can help you with? And then immediately call 911 because your boss is having a heart attack because no one has ever told him that before. He's like, what in the world just happened? You mean my employee is offering to help me with my work. Do you see this? Do you see what's going on here? That's how you add value. You are communicating your desire to add value. You're not saying, I want a promotion, but you're acting like I need a promotion. I like working here. What else can I do is something you can say. I like working here. What else can I get involved with? These are words that are communicating what? That you want to add value to your job. You're not looking to skate by and do the minimum. You're looking to serve more. 3, provide value by actually serving. You've got ways to serve. And one of the things I hate the most is when people that say, I can't do that. I don't have anything to offer. That is the biggest lie in the world. I don't receive that at all. I will fight you over it. Do not do that. You've got skills. You've got purpose. You are the handiwork of God, and He's created you in Christ Jesus to do things prepared in advance. He's done all of that. You've got giftings. You've got spiritual giftings that your boss just doesn't even know about. You've got a wisdom that God can work in you. And then you've got other things. You've worked hard on working some crafts and doing some things. And you're good at, some of you are good at computer systems, and that's amazing. Do you know how that mystifies the other 99% of us earthlings on earth? We're like, oh my gosh, how did you do that? There is literally, right now, in the back of my van, my child's computer, because I'm giving it to that man back there named Rob Cortez because he's so good with computers. I'm like, please help me. You've got that skill. You've got that technique. Here's the other way you provide value by serving. You just show willingness. Willingness. If your boss in a meeting says, I really need somebody, get ready. Get your arm poised, right? I really need somebody. You need to be ready and able to say these words. I can help with that. I can handle that. I can oversee you. I can oversee that. I will get back in touch with you later this week about the results. That is next level stuff. That's providing value by serving. And then here's the way you provide value by serving. You're actually a leader. You're actually giving your influence, whatever it is. And sometimes it's not even business related. Sometimes it's Christ related. Sometimes one of the best ways to serve your job is to bring peace into the workplace where there's no peace. To bring care into the workplace where there's no care. My gosh, that's worth a raise, let me tell you. And then finally this, here's the fourth thing. That's all on you. Here's the fourth thing. Do this. Pray for favor. You know what? There's a biblical word for favor in the Bible. Do you know the word for favor? Anybody know the word for favor? It's the word grace. God gives you unmerited favor. He gives you things that you don't deserve. So ask God to give you favor with your boss, with your coworkers. Ask God to help give you favor with the coworker you don't get along with. Pray about these things. Pray these things. These are prayers. Steal them from me. Take them to the throne. Here they are. Help me have more influence on the job, God. Help me to influence this person. Help me to be an influence to this situation. We've got this big client coming in. We really need to land this client. Give me instant favor with that person. Pray it. Pray it. God will do it. And then pray this. Help me use my influence for your kingdom, God. I use that prayer like this. This is how I pray that. I say, God, give me the key to that person's heart. And when I have their heart, I will turn that heart over to you. Whatever that person's heart is, whatever it is that they need, give me the key to influence their heart. Give me the wisdom to speak to their troubled mind. Give me the words to say to them. And then when I have their heart, because people will give you their heart, if you care for them and if you are worthy of their trust, they will hand over a heart to you. Then you turn that heart over to the Lord. What does that look like? That looks like people getting saved. That looks like you praying for people and seeing God work in their life. And what is this about? This is about so much more than you getting a promotion and a pay raise. It's now you serving in the kingdom. Because guess what? You can serve at fill-in-the-blank restaurant or fill-in-the-blank business. But overall, you're really working in the kingdom of the most wonderful Jesus Christ. And that's the truth. That's what it's all about. We become valuable by adding what? Value. Always be serving. Now, this idea is central to Christianity. When you read your Bible, you will find this everywhere. And it's especially central from the very beginning of the church. Someone help me. When did the church begin in your Bible? It began in Acts 2. Thank you very much. That is the beginning of the church, and we're going to read about it. Acts chapter 2, verse 44. Now, a lot of people focus on this chapter. It's really good. Not enough people focus on these last verses. We're going to focus on them for a moment. All the believers were together, verse 44 says, and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. Look at that. What is that? Is that serving? Is that adding value? Is that you taking things that are not valuable to someone else, you actually sell them, turn it into money because money is valuable to their need, and you give them the thing that's valuable to their need? Do you see that? When does this happen? On the first day of the church, the very beginning. Moving on, verse 46. Every day, not just on Sunday, every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts. Where did the bread come from? Someone made it. Someone made it. Someone served it. There was somebody who made that bread, served it, and said, come on over to our house. And they broke bread together. And breaking bread together is a great writing technique, because not only is it eating physical bread, but we also believe that they were breaking the bread of the Word of God. And so now they're not only touching physical needs, they're touching spiritual needs. And how are they doing it? By adding value, by serving others. And when did this happen? This happened like the 3rd century, right? No, it happened the first day of the church. Verse 47, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. What's going on here? They're praising God and they're having favor with who? People. Praising God, having favor with people. I want to tell you that's something to pray for your work. God, I pray that how I treat you today would be a praise to you, and also I would have favor with everyone I work with and everyone I work for, including clients. Redemption Church, can we be valuable? How do we be valuable as a church? What do we do? Do we just have a bigger building? Is that what we do? Is that how we do that? No, we are valuable by adding value to others. And far too often the church in this day and age is focused on what's valuable to us and not what's focusing on valuable to others. What is valuable for the single mother down the road who's barely making it? What is valuable to the CEO, although he's climbed to the top of his career, he's at the height of it, he's depressed and he's worried about his kids and he's got no life balance. And we're over here going, what color carpet do we need? These are the arguments that churches make. And meanwhile, the world out there, we're not talking about what's valuable to them. If we want to be valuable to Plano, Texas, we have to bring value to Plano, Texas. That means we serve others. That means we give to those in need. That means that we feed the hungry. That means that we are praising God and having favor with the people. Who's interested in that? Somebody say August 17th. On August 17th, we have a service day, a community outreach at Minnie's Food Pantry right here in Plano. And we want you to be a part of it. You want to bring value? Minnie's Food Pantry has the largest I've ever seen drive-through food pantry. And they just go around the block, the people that line up in need of food. And so you go to them, you talk to them, you walk back into the place, you walk out with a basket of groceries and you bless people. And you do that once and you do it about 100 more times and that's your day. August 17th, beginning at 7 a.m., we have a sign-up sheet right back there. I want more signatures on that sign-up sheet today. I want you to be a part of it. What day is it? August 17th at Minnie's Food Pantry, 7 to 12 noon. Sign it up and pack it out. I'm going to ask our musicians to come. I love you, musicians. As I'm closing, I want to ask you, who do we serve? Who do we serve? We forget sometimes. Who do we serve? Who do we serve? I want to tell you a story. I've always loved this story. I heard it about 10 years ago. There's a Hollywood actor. He's one of the Baldwins. He's Stephen Baldwin. And he does the pretty innocuous work of living in Hollywood and hiring a nanny. So they hire this nanny, and she's Brazilian. And this nanny's name is Augusta. And Augusta was strange to them because unlike any of the other nannies, Augusta would just go through the house and she would clean and she would sing in Portuguese. And they're like, I don't know anything. What is she singing? This is not Lady Gaga. What is she singing? I don't understand. But every once in a while, they would make out something that sounded like Jesus. Yesu. They would hear her say, what is she? And then their hearts sank. They're like, oh God, we hired one of those crazy Christians. We let one in our house. This is what the Hollywood elite is thinking. Oh my gosh, now why did you hire this one? I don't know, she looked perfect. I didn't know she was crazy. She's singing about Jesus. Finally, one day, Miss Baldwin asked Augusta, why do you only sing about Jesus? Why don't you sing any other song? Why is Jesus real to you? Why do you come and clean our house? And while you're cleaning our house, why do you sing about Jesus? And Augusta laughs at her. And she was like totally taken aback. Are you laughing at me? And Augusta says these words. She says, I'm so sorry. I think it's funny. I think it's so funny that you think I'm here to clean your house. And they had no idea what that meant. They went back and they talked like, what does that mean? And they came to find out it means this. Augusta took the job because in prayer, God would told her that she would bring this family to Christ. And so while they thought she was working for them, she was always working for the Lord and his kingdom, that his kingdom would come. And so what happens? Just Augusta and Miss Baldwin get to talking, and before you know it, Miss Baldwin receives Jesus and is baptized, and she has one of those, I'm so sorry, babe, I'm one of those crazy Christians now. She has that talk with Stephen Baldwin, and Stephen's like, this is crazy. And then Stephen, sure enough, he talks to his wife, and he receives Christ. They're both baptized, and what started as just a nanny job became a kingdom mission. Can I tell you something? You might hate your job. I get it. You might not like your boss. I get it. You may think I'm not paid enough. I'm undervalued. I get it. I get it. I get it. But for one moment, can we talk about our real boss? Can we talk about the real King of Kings? Can we talk about the real manager? He is who we are serving. And when you're treated terribly at your job, you're still going to be a Christian. And when people lie about you, you're still going to be a Christian. And when people, they try to get you fired, you're still going to be a Christian, because ultimately, who do you serve? You serve the King of glory. All because a Brazilian lady took a job as a nanny. But ultimately, she worked for the Lord. My final thing I want to tell you before I bring you to this altar today is this. Christians should be the best employees. We should be the best. We should. And we should feel convicted when we're not. We should start to be convicted when we don't measure up to what a good Christian should be. When we don't measure up to what Jesus should be on the workplace. That should offend us and bring us to a repentance and get us to change. And we should serve and we should add value exactly like our King did 2,000 years ago when he walked the streets, those dusty streets of Israel. We should do those very things. Who's with me today? That is key to promotion. It is more than just, it is a promotion on the job. It is a promotion that will end up with more authority on your job. It will end up with more money in the bank account. But also it's a promotion in God's kingdom. And God will trust you. He says, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. I'll make you ruler over many. What is that? What is that? What's that in a word? That's promotion. That's promotion. I'm telling you, God can promote you. And if he promotes you, nobody can demote you. If he gives you the job, who can fire you? If he gives you the calling, who can defeat you? I'm telling you, is anybody ready for promotion? Somebody say it's time to go. Would everybody stand in this place? I'm going to give you our call to action. I'm going to invite you to come to pray today. I want to give you 3 things to absolutely do. Here they are. Number 1, rethink promotion. Rethink what it means to work on your job. Say no to the rat race. Say no to the gossip table. Say no to it. Add value. Start asking, what value can I add? And pray for direction. Do that. Number 2, serve and add value. Where? Everywhere you are. Serve, add value. At Redemption, you bet. In fact, we have August 17th, Serve Day. Serve. Sign up. The sign up's back there. You want to serve in other ways? We have something called Next Steps, and it's where you learn how to serve. In fact, not only do we point to places in the church for you to serve, we point at you and we spend time talking to you about what your giftings are, what your personality is, and what your calling in God is. Because we want to see you succeed so bad in serving in God's kingdom. It's worth taking time to do. So serve, add value. And 3, I want you to spend some time answering that question. Who do you serve And I would invite you in this place to pray, God, I want to serve you and the people you bring into my world. If you have nothing to pray today, you have that to pray. I'm asking you to pray that. If you want special prayer in this place, we want to pray with you. If any of that stuff you want prayer with, we are here to pray with you. Come to these altars right now. I'm going to pray for everybody watching and listening online, and then I'm going to come pray for you, and we're going to worship. It's going to be wonderful. Father, I pray for all my friends watching, listening online. Friends, you have value to give. You have a story to tell. You have a gifting inside of you and a skill at work in your hands. You can use it greatly to serve others. You can use it greatly to serve in your kingdom. You can use it greatly to serve in your home. You can use it greatly to serve in your neighborhood. You can use it. Will you use it? Begin to ask God to help you to use it, to serve Him and to serve the others He brings to you. Come on, let's take a step towards the Lord today and let's reach out to Him in Jesus' name. Come on, church. I want to pray with people. I want to see God do great things in our lives. Jesus' name.
For more information about redemption, look us up online at redemptionplano.com. We want to hear more from you. So be sure to connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, or even our anonymous text line at 469-651-1178. Thanks for joining us, and have a blessed day.